From the Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View with your host, David Goins.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Capitol View. I'm Bob Clausen, and for David Goins this morning, I want to say thank you very much for joining us this morning. A lot to get to today, including the politics of disaster, plus the governor trying to lure international business to the natural state. We're going to talk to the head of the Arkansas Economic Development Commission about that, but we begin with one of the men who would like to be your next governor, Democratic nominee Mike Ross, joining us this morning. Mr. Ross, thank you very much for taking some time out.
Thanks, Bob. It's great to be with you.
I guess a year and change ago, I saw you at the Heart Ball. And I asked you, like most reporters do, break some news for me, what's happening? And you said, not just yet, more to come. And here we are. How's it been going?
It's been going really well. You know, we've got a positive vision for the future of this state that focuses on education, job creation, lower fair taxes, and we've taken our message, our Jobs First plan, to every county in this state. People are identifying with it. It's resonating with the voters, and we're very confident that with the help of a lot of good people in this state, we're gonna be the next governor of Arkansas.
Got a lot of help from the sitting governor, Mike Beebe, a big supporter of yours. How do you move forward, letting people know that you're just not going to be a continuation of Governor Beebe and be a Beebe 2.0? You're going to bring more. How do you make that?
Well, I think Governor Beebe's been a good governor. We spent 10 years together in the Arkansas State Senate. He played a very important role in talking to me about running. When the dust settled, there were a lot of people that just weren't happy with the choices that were out there. And, you know, I'd gotten out of politics and was in the private sector, and quite frankly, didn't ever plan to run for office again. I left Washington fed up with the partisan bickering and dysfunction that is there. Got home and realized I wasn't fed up with public service. I was just fed up with Washington. And I love this state. I believe in Arkansas. I believe in its people. And I know we can do better. And I have a plan to do that. And so, you know, in terms of fiscal responsibility, common sense, working in a bipartisan manner, those are characteristics of Governor Beebe that I share. But we do have differences. I mean, he ran on removing the sales tax on groceries. We've now done that. Now we need to start making our state income tax more fair. I have a plan for pre-K. I think it's about giving parents more choices, not less. If you're a parent and you got a 4-year-old, there should be a desk for them in a pre-K classroom if that's where you want them, regardless of where you live or regardless of your income. I have a plan to do that, and then a renewed emphasis on career and technical training for those who do not choose to go to college.
Well, while we're on education, the paper on Friday came out with a list of schools statewide, 20 some odd, I think 26, that were in some sort of an academic distress situation. How do we address that? How do we keep that from happening in the state? Yeah,
well, you know, I'm a strong believer in local control, and that's what we have. My dad was a teacher, a principal, a school superintendent. They taught me the importance of education and how it can empower people. And education is something you can never take away from anyone. It creates a lot of opportunities. I've said I want to be the education governor because whether you want to talk about poverty, hunger, more and better paying jobs, crime, it all goes back to education. Having said that, in terms of those districts that have fiscal distress, that means they've got money issues. And if they haven't been able to take care of their books at the local level, then there's a process in place in which the state temporarily takes them over to get them out of that fiscal distress.
With ones on academic distress, do you hold the teacher accountable, the superintendent, or the district as a whole?
Oh, I think everyone has to be held accountable. I mean, look, people in the state, they work hard, they pay taxes. 60 cents out of every dollar that you send the state goes to either K through 12 or higher education. It's a big chunk of what we do. We've got to have accountability. We've got to have transparency, and we've got to improve education in Arkansas. We're spending about $43 million a year remediating kids when they get to college. We've got to do a better job of getting our young people either college ready or career ready. One of the ways we do that long term is through pre-K. And I can't emphasize it enough. Oklahoma has figured this out. My opponent says it's the wrong direction for Arkansas, and for the life of me, I can't believe that he disagrees with me on pre-K. We know that if you go to pre-K, you're less likely to repeat a grade, you're more likely to finish college, to be employed as an adult when others are not, less likely to end up on government assistance, less likely to end up in prison. And again, it's access. It's not mandated. It's access to pre-K. It's about giving parents more choices, not less. The bottom line is this. If you're a parent and you got a 4-year-old and you want them in a pre-K classroom, there should be a desk for them regardless of your income and regardless of where you live, and that's not the case today.
Talking about how you left Washington somewhat fed up, now we're in the throes of the Affordable Care Act, and then here we've got the private option in Arkansas, and some say that are critical of you, saying that you're not for the Affordable Care Act, but then for the private option. Then you were one way and then the other. Kind of clear the air up on that.
Yeah, there's been a lot. My opponent has misrepresented the facts, distorted the truth, and lied about me and my record. I mean, the Affordable Care Act was H.R. 3590. You can look it up. I consistently voted no. I was one of 3 Democrats to vote to repeal it. But if you read my statement at the time, I said there were good parts and bad parts. Overall, it was too big, too costly, not right for Arkansas. I have stated many times that the Medicaid expansion, the private option, is one of those good parts. One of the reasons I voted against the Affordable Care Act is one of the ways they help pay for it is they did cut Medicare reimbursement rates to hospitals. They did. That's how they helped pay for it. But they also said at the time that this Medicaid expansion would help make the hospitals whole again because they would start getting paid for people that they've been treating for free and writing off. And in fact, in some states that are refusing to do the Medicaid expansion, known here as the private option in Arkansas, we're already seeing rural hospitals close. That's why every hospital in the state supports it. Look, what we did here was done with a Democratic governor, a Republican legislature. It was done in a bipartisan manner. It's market-based, it's innovative, it's creative, so much so that our state had to go to the federal government and get a waiver to be able to implement it. It saves the state money, about $90 million a year. We have all these uncompensated care programs. As you were driving here today, you did not see diseased, sick people laying in the ditch. It's because we have uncompensated care programs. We'll no longer need a lot of those programs because of the Medicaid expansion. And then finally, it's the right thing to do for working Arkansans. Now, I've had some people tell me, well, I don't want my tax money going to provide health insurance to people that don't want to work. Well, guess what? They already get it. They're in traditional Medicaid. This Medicaid expansion, this private option, we're talking about the people that are trying to do the right thing and stay off welfare, but they're working the jobs with no benefits.
All right, Mr. Ross, that does it for us this morning. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
It's great to be on your program. Thanks, Bob.
All right, it's going to be a long summer.
It will be.
We'll keep our eye on you guys. Coming up, Arkansas's current governor heading across the pond as a word to bring new business back home. We're going to talk to the man who's got his eyes on expanding the state's already thriving aerospace industry. I'm Bob Clausen in for David Goins. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Interstate Battery has a battery for your every need. Watches, cell phones, and yes, car batteries too. Our friendly, knowledgeable staff is located at 2020 Landtrip Road, right off at 167 in Sherwood. Interstate Battery, every battery for every need.
It's not too late to get a whole summer of fun with a Magic Spring Season Pass. Available for a limited time for only $67.99 at all Arkansas Kroger stores. Get an entire water park, Arkansas's best thrill rides, concerts featuring some of today's top pop, country, and Christian artists, fireworks every Friday in July, dive-in movies, and so much more. Hurry to your local Kroger store and get your Season Pass for just $67.99. Feel the magic and experience the fun at Magic Springs.
At Denver Mattress, get incredible factory direct savings. Through Wednesday, July 16th, find queen mattresses as low as $199. Plus, during the Tempur-Pedic model closeout event, save hundreds on any discontinued Cloud Luxe mattress set. Quality, service, selection, and value. Why shop anywhere else? Denver Mattress, your Tempur-Pedic elite retailer. Denver Mattress, where you
There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's, like a freshly brewed McCafe coffee and a delicious McGriddle sandwich with a taste of maple syrup baked right in. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
It's official. Mighty Bite has been granted our U.S. patent, recognizing our innovative designs and features. So we're celebrating by giving you an exclusive mystery gift on today's orders.
Mighty Bite hand 5. Woo!
Mighty Bite's revolutionary bite mark, scent stick, swimming fins, and custom weighting and rattle system give it the erratic action of an injured baitfish. It's a fact. Fish are attracted to light. Now get the bite at night with our new UFO Glow Kit. Land trophy fish of all species. The Mighty Bite fishing system with over 100 pieces is yours for only $19.95. But wait, we'll even send you our Fishing Secrets Easy Guide and new 1-hour DVD free. Call right now, and we'll also send you our incredible UFO Glow Kit. That's 3 free gifts for you. And as a bonus, we'll include our new custom Big Fish Trophy Kit. Order now.
That's 4 gifts, so call 1-800-324-1853, 1-800-324-1853, or visit buymightybite.com.
Congratulations, KARK4, on 60 years of broadcasting.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View, everyone, on this Sunday morning. I'm Bob Clausen for David Goins. We have got now a better idea of what issues might be on the 2014 ballot. Monday was the deadline to turn in signatures for the ballot title petitions to the Secretary of State's office. 2 groups working on marijuana-related titles did not get enough signatures. One hoped only to legalize medical marijuana. A different group wanted cannabis legalized for all use. 2 other measures may have the signatures needed to get on the ballot. One would raise Arkansas's minimum wage. The other would legalize the sale of alcohol in all Arkansas's 75 counties. It's now up to the Secretary of State to certify the ballot titles. Of course, we'll keep you up to date on that. The Secretary of State's office this week filed a motion asking Judge Tim Fox to keep the state's voter ID law in place. The filing in response to a motion filed by the American Civil Liberties Union of Arkansas that requested Judge Fox lift the stay of his ruling that struck down the voter ID law. That ruling has been appealed to the Supreme Court. The ACLU alleging nearly 1,000 absentee ballots had gone uncounted during the primary election due to the law. The Secretary of State's office challenged that and said lifting the stay would cause substantial harm to the state. Governor Beebe says that he's requested now federal funding for areas of eastern Arkansas dealing with lingering floodwater. A torrential storm dropped several inches of rain on the area, but that was 2 weeks ago. And in some areas, the water, it's still there. It's not draining properly. The governor toured the area on Tuesday. He says the funds requested from the Department of Agriculture will help farmers as well as homeowners in several counties there. A new Senate poll shows Congressman Tom Cotton with an edge over Senator Mark Pryor. That according to the Impact Management, a conservative leading consulting firm in Little Rock. The Senate poll found 47-43 edge for Cotton over Pryor in the race for Senate. 10% undecided there. Coming up, Arkansas's Senate candidates deep in the politics of faith and tornadoes. We're going to break down the effect the new attack ads have on this already contentious race. I'm Bob Clausen for David Goins, and you are watching Capitol View on this Sunday morning.
We had, Donna, tonight a natural disaster in the state of Arkansas.
Through Our Eyes, the emotional documentary highlighting the devastating tornado of April 27th is now available on DVD.
There's nothing else we could have done.
We're alive. House can be repaired. We'll be all right.
Proceeds benefit the United Way of Central Arkansas as they provide assistance to the victims of the April storm. Get your copy at the United Way of Arkansas or at this website.
It doesn't seem like 20 years. I mean, it seems like I walked in the door yesterday, and it's been 110 miles an hour ever since then.
Bob Clausen has more on an investigation News 4 First brought you.
Even after the events of today, that definition has not changed. So much has happened at KARK, so much has happened in Little Rock, and so much has happened in Arkansas in those 20 years. You look back at it and you're kind of stunned. You're like, wow, I was part of so much that's happened here.
I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
We had a studio tech come in, had just started working there, and he says, you know, Bob, I've been watching you since I was 3. And he kind of sit back and you go, oh my gosh. He said, you know, my mom would put me in the bouncy seat when you did the morning show. And I would watch you, you know, morning and noon, just sitting there, you know, in his bouncy seat. It was like, you just stop and think, wow, you've been around for a while and you've seen a lot.
You know, they say that news is the first rough draft of history. Well, for the past 60 years, KARK4 has helped write that history.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us this evening.
I'm Roy Mitchell.
I'm Carolyn Long.
Disaster strikes a shuttle launch.
My God.
No state in the Union is growing faster than the state of Arkansas.
President Kennedy died at approximately 1 o'clock Central Standard Time.
No matter what abuses it may bring, I'm going to tell the truth.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
KARK4 News, capturing the images and telling the stories that have shaped this great state for 60 years.
Thank you for inviting us into your homes.
From the very beginning
to today.
Thank you.
Thank you. KRK4, 60 years of telling the stories that matter to Arkansas.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View, everyone. I'm Bob Clausen. This weekend, a large group from the state leaves for Europe, hoping to woo new business to the state. They'll largely be focusing on the aerospace industry. The trip and the reason for it is profiled in the latest issue of Arkansas Money and Politics, the magazine now available. I suggest you pick up a copy of it. A lot of great stuff in there. Members of the delegation headed overseas are profiled inside. They include Governor Mike Beebe, CEO of Arkansas World Trade Center, Dan Hendricks, and our guest this morning, Grant Tennille, the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. Grant, thank you very much. It's good to spend some time with you this morning. We're talking about aerospace. We were chatting a little bit. I grew up on Long Island, where Grumman had a major presence there, Grumman Aerospace. And if you don't know Grumman, they developed the F-14 Tomcat, the lunar lander, things like that. And the amount of industry that grew out of that. If you didn't know someone who worked for Grumman, you knew someone who worked for a company that was contracted by Grumman. What is it that Arkansas can woo some of these aerospace companies with to bring them here, to create something like that?
I think we're looking to do a few things. We're looking to attract new investment into Arkansas by companies from around the world. We're also taking Arkansas companies that are servicing the industry right now and trying to help them get new contracts and grow their business. A great example of that is Custom Aircraft Cabinets. The small company started in a garage in Searcy, which is now in Jacksonville, employing a few hundred people, building the interiors for Dassault's jets. And we want them to grow. And we want to use them as bait to broadcast to other companies around the world that Arkansas's got capabilities in this area, and if you want your jets finished, this would be a great place to come look.
Think about bait. I mean, Dassault, you're going to Europe. Dassault based in France. They've been here for a number of years, very successful, very happy. In fact, they're expanding here. And you guys are going to this air show in, or expo, I guess, what you can call it, in England, in Farnborough.
Yeah.
This thing is enormous.
It is.
And we're just now showing up to it.
That's right. It is held in Farnborough, which is right outside of London in even numbers years. It's held in Paris in the odd numbered years. And it's our first trip. We had started to become sort of conspicuously absent, particularly as Dassault has grown here. People were saying, why aren't you coming? And for a long time, it really came down to cost. It is not inexpensive. Part of the reason that we're doing it the way we are is that there are quite a few Arkansas entities sponsoring this trip, not just AEDC. We've got the Arkansas Aerospace Alliance providing sponsorship. We have the State Chamber of Commerce providing some sponsorship. We have the World Trade Center. We have 3 airports, Clinton National here in Little Rock, the Arkansas Aeroplex in Blytheville, and XNA up in Northwest Arkansas. And we have 3 companies. The one I mentioned earlier, Custom Aircraft Cabinets.
And I don't want to interrupt, but you have to think too, a big lure for a lot of these companies here is the workforce that we're training here. Of course, we've got an Air Force base here, so we have personnel. We're transitioning out of the military and then into the private sector, so they're ready to go hands-on. And I guess Dassault is rather close to the vest on what they pay their employees, but for the most part, they're happy.
Jobs.
They're happy. What are some of the companies that we're trying to get over here? I know you guys can't get into specifics, so specifically tell me exactly who it is you're going after.
Well, I will say this. A lot has been made in the press of our later trip after the air show to Prague. And we have talked about the fact that we are targeting some firearms and firearms accessories companies over there. But the other thing that is going on in Czechoslovakia is there are a lot of aerospace parts manufacturers over there. We will meet with a number of those companies in Farnborough and again in Prague when we're there. The other thing that I think people, particularly in central Arkansas, forget. Everybody's sort of focused on Dassault, focused on the Air Force Base. But you go to Camden in South Arkansas, and we have General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, a number of the largest defense contractors in the world doing very big business down there, and we're hoping to grow them as well.
It's got to be tricky too, and I think, or maybe not, because Dassault is probably one of our biggest fans over there, and,
sure.
and in the European community, saying, hey, Arkansas is a great place, but again, we haven't been there, so it's going to be kind of interesting, a coming out party for Arkansas over there, saying, hey, here we are, we've now arrived at the party.
That's right.
Come on down.
And it's our largest export, so it's not
$2 billion? Was it $2 billion in aerospace exports?
And we're, so it's not like we're showing up as the, poor stepchild. We've actually got a real place in this industry. The challenge, of course, is to ensure that we are doing what we need to do to create the workforce to take these jobs. And we have been fortunate to have great partnerships with organizations like Pulaski Tech, which does a lot of the workforce training for Dassault. Interestingly enough, we're looking to expand the footprint of where we do that kind of training as well to some other two-year schools around the state, particularly up in Northwest, and some down in the southern part of the state as well.
This is that, like we're talking about at the beginning of the segment, the collateral growth
Absolutely.
of the aerospace industry. Aviation also, Henderson has got an aviation department down there that's quite outstanding.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Grant, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. You guys are going to get busy. Let us know when you get back into town how things went over there.
Well,
when you
hopefully we'll have some
Things.
announcements.
All right. Grant, thank you very much. Again, you can find out a lot more about this trip, as well as various companies that drive Arkansas's aerospace industry. In the latest issue of Arkansas Money and Politics, it is now available. Still ahead, deadliest tornado to hit Arkansas in decades, now front and center in the high-profile race for Senate. How the politics of disaster have alerted the race, or altered, I should say, the race. Plus, what survivors of that tornado think about it. I'm Bob Clausen, in for David Goins. You're watching Capitol View this Sunday morning.
Ferguson's 4th of July Lazy Boy sale saves you hundreds on top-of-the-line recliners, sofas, and sectionals. Take up to 48 months interest-free and get statewide delivery on Lazy Boy furniture at Ferguson's Furniture next to Walmart in Benton and at fergusonsfurniture.com.
There's a difference. There is a difference in funeral homes. Really, the difference is our people and our price.
We've been at this a long time. With over 60 years of combined experience, we've been helping families create memorable farewells.
We'll be here when you need us. That's our family's promise to you.
Introducing Molly, our newest family member, and the only grief therapy dog in North Central Arkansas.
Family Funeral Service of Heber Springs and Clinton Funeral Service of Clinton, where more is offered in a nicer way for a better price.
You say tomato? Old El Paso says diced tomato stand and stuffed chicken tacos. You say, what's for dinner? Old El Paso says, start somewhere fresh.
How do you help her? Make Helper with your favorite ingredients for a fresh taste you'll love. Helper, make it yours.
The answer to treating your dog's fleas and ticks is staring you right in the face. NexGard, from the makers of Frontline Plus. It's the only soft beef-flavored chew that kills both fleas and ticks. Vets recommend it, and dogs, well, they're begging for it. NexGard is for dogs only and hasn't been evaluated for use in pregnant, breeding, or lactating dogs. Reported side effects include vomiting, dry, flaky skin, diarrhea, lethargy, and lack of appetite. Used with caution in dogs with a history of seizures. Recommended by vets, loved by dogs. From the makers of Frontline Plus.
For the most complete coverage of game day, count on Razorback Nation, only on KARK4.
Ferguson's in Benton is offering free leather upgrades when you buy stressless furniture. This offer is good on any piece of stressless. You save up to $500 per seat and take up to 48 months interest-free on stressless at Ferguson's next to Walmart in Benton.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View, everybody. I'm Bob Clausen in for David Goins. The politics of disaster creeping into the U.S. Senate race here in Arkansas. 11 weeks ago today, a tornado destroyed much of Mayflower and Valonia. In that time, Senator Mark Pryor has taken his opponent, Congressman Tom Cotton, to task for voting against federal relief following disasters like Hurricane Sandy. This week, Cotton fired back with an ad featuring Faulkner County Sheriff Andy Schock, defending Cotton's record and criticizing Pryor. Meanwhile, Senator Pryor releasing his own ad hammering Cotton for his remarks about Pryor's faith. Those who have observed Arkansas politics for years say these ads trend more personal, but so do the attacks that they're responding to. Capitol View's Marcy Manley has more on the high stakes at play with personal attacks like these.
You're a once-a-week Christian. Congressman Tom Cotton says Senator Mark Pryor is
defending his faith.
Tom Cotton stood with us every step of the way.
Declaring his works. Two ads launching in the U.S. Senate campaign by Tom Cotton and Mark Pryor push the boundaries of personal for Arkansas campaign politics.
It's a bit edgy, to say the least, without even going and saying it's nasty.
Professor Art English, after viewing the ads, says it's an escalation in a decisive Senate race where the congressional control hangs in the balance.
It's a tit-for-tat kind of situation. It is a little bit more personal than things get in Arkansas politics, but as I said before, the stakes are very high.
The Bible teaches us no one has all the answers, only God does.
Pryor's ad in response to Tom Cotton, who criticized his support of the Affordable Care Act.
Senator Pryor, start focusing on the real issues. Leave our community and our tragedy out of your campaign.
Cotton has Faulkner County Sheriff Andy Schock act as surrogate, pointing to votes for other funding bills and disaster declarations in Arkansas after critics highlighted the 5 times Cotton voted against federal funding aid, largely for Hurricane Sandy, linking those to votes against disaster aid for Arkansas.
I want to dent these images to get that little bit of edge in a very, very close race sometimes.
According to English, the ads are likely defending personal profiles rather than explaining policy.
The electorate is that the electorate cannot be superficial on a race that's so important.
So English thinks voters would be better served going beyond 30-second spots to get to know the candidates.
That I believe in God.
I'm now joined by Marcy Manley and Drew Petramo. Both of you guys have covered this story extensively, and we've all covered disasters, and I don't know that any time I've been approached by someone who's been dealing with a tornado asking me the particular stance on one political party or a candidate. How is this being received, at least Marcy, by the folks you've talked to, both politically and otherwise?
Well, in speaking to Art English, he has watched the political scene for years upon years, and he says that these two issues are particularly personal, right? We have faith, which is something that everyone identifies with as something that is their business. It's very personal. But then we have disaster, too, where people's lives were lost, their homes were lost. It touched them in a really deep way, and it's a humanitarian issue. It shouldn't be politicized, most people think. And so to have these two issues come to the forefront speaks to that power of this race. The stakes are really high, and people are just you can't let one punch come and then not defend. But whether or not this is the way that they want to do that, that's up for debate.
Boy, I tell you, and you bring that kind of material into a political campaign or some kind of an ad, you have got to tread very lightly, because this could really blow up in your face. And Drew, you've talked to people there on the ground. What do they have to say about this?
Well, let's keep things in perspective here. A lot of people out in Mayflower and Valonia, some of them are lucky to even have TVs after what gone. They lost their homes, they lost everything. So I wouldn't say that people are freaking out over seeing this on TV, but if you're trying to rebuild your home, if you're trying to rebuild your life, and you look up, see on your friend's TV, on a relative's TV, people are politicizing it, it sits in your stomach a little bit raw sometimes, and you might not want to see that. So I think most people that I spoke to, when they see that type of thing, they're zoning it out. Of course, that's what they say publicly. If you ask someone like the political science professor she talked with, the reason why we see those ads so much is because campaigns think they work.
Some frustration out there over something like this?
Well, certainly. To a certain extent, it's politicizing an event like this will frustrate the people that have been affected by it, and I think they would probably blame both sides equally when they see something like that. Again, a lot of people say they just tune out whenever.
Right, it's one of those things. Now, Marcy, how far could a campaign go with something like this? There's got to be a limit where you go, look, okay, enough of that. Let's pull the plug and back up.
I think we don't know what the limit is, because this is way more personal, according to those people who have been in the political pool, if you will, for a long time. This is way more personal than Arkansas is used to, but it's nothing compared to some states where you're talking about people digging through your personal history and highlighting DWIs or backgrounds. I mean, really making it personal on a candidate perspective. These are two really interesting things because they're societal personal, right? I mean, everyone identifies with these two issues. And speaking to Drew's point, one interesting thing is this is kind of the first time where we've seen an elected official, which Sheriff Andy Schock is. He's elected in Faulkner County, coming in and speaking on behalf of another elected official that